gone back, as far as we can go in Tennessee. Well, not too far back, but anyway, there's still civilization here, and there's also something called Frozen Head State Park. Now, a lot of people are wondering how it got its name and some of the origins of the park, and so we actually have a great park ranger. He's going to tell us all about it. Tell him your name, and then tell him some of the answers to that.
Okay. My name is Ranger David Brady. So Frozen Head got its name from the highest peak here, which is actually Frozen Head Peak, which is 3,324 feet in elevation, and that's where the observation tower is. Usually in the winter when it gets cold enough and conditions are right, it's the only peak in the area that has a frosted appearance to it.
Oh.
So the tallest point, it's the head of the mountain, so everybody just said, well, that's Frozen Head.
There you go. So there's some things that are happening here, like the CCC was also part of it. Talk a little bit about it and what they did here in the park.
Okay, so back in the 20s and 30s, it was part of the Roosevelt's alphabet soup of the New Deal. They came here. It's the Civilian Conservation Corps, and what they did is they would come in and set up a camp, which was down further in the foot of the valley. They would come and they actually were the ones that built all the trails that we have here on Frozen Head. So they had a full camp. It was kind of paramilitary. They had their outfits and everything, and they would get paid, just a couple of dollars a month, and they would send that back to their family and things like that. But they would just come up here and they would work day in, day out building the trails, and they're kind of who we have to thank for the trail system that we have today.
Right, and you have a lot of trails here, and they're public trails. Now, explain that these trails are the access. Who can get on these trails? Can four-wheelers get on them? Can bicycles? Who gets on the trail?
So we do have over 50 miles of trails, and all of those 50 miles of trails are public access. Between sunrise and sunset, an hour before sunset, anybody can come up here and hike our trails. There's no ATV access, there's no horseback access as well, but we do have one trail, which is our Jeep Road that we call it, or the Tower Trail. It is the only trail that is mountain bike accessible. It's about 7 miles one way, and it's a good trek.
Now we drove up that, of course, in the authorized vehicle, and it might be a challenge for someone to get up to the top.
I've heard it described as a calf burner or a quad buster, so I mean it would be a hard trip up, but I guess it would be worth the trip down.
So when people come, there's also 2 waterfalls in the park here, and give us the name. I know DeBoer's one. What's the other one?
So DeBoer Falls is the first falls that you would come to if you took our Panther Branch Trailhead. It's about a half-mile hike. It's an easy hike up, accessible for pretty much a lot of people that can come up here. So it's a half mile up, and the fall is anywhere from about 10 to 12 feet high. It's one of our more picturesque places. There's also stairs that go all the way down to the base of the falls that you can go down there and check out and splash around in the water. And then there's Emery Falls, which is at the end of the Emery Gap Trail, which branches off the Panther Branch Trail. That one takes a little bit more. It's about another mile past that. And you do have to do a little bit of rock hopping to get to the base of that fall, but you can go up there and take pictures, and it's another pretty picturesque, especially looking back from the falls out into the rest of the valley.
So, and talking about people walking and where they can go, you have protected areas in is there different classes? Is that how it's done?
There are. So there's pretty much 3 different classifications. We have the state park area, which is what we have down in the lower part of the valley. Which is where all the picnic areas are and the campgrounds and things like that. Then we have what's called Class 1 and Class 2 natural area. So Class 1 is sort of the first level of protection that you can get. There's no access, there's no development or anything like that that's allowed, so we can't come in and build trails. Only things that are already existing and things like that. So there's no off-trail use. So what we're in right now is actually Class 1 natural area. Class 2 is the next kind of the highest level of protection that you can get, and that is there's no access to it. Pretty much the same thing, except for Class 2 you can do, or excuse me, Class 1 you can get a permit to do research and things like that to collect different specimens. Class 2, there's no permit or anything like that. It's just to be wild and be preserved.
Wow. So environmentally wise, there was also mining that happened here. Tell us a little bit about that, and you know, I know it played a part in how your land lays out here.
That's right. So back when Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary was opened in about 1894, that was what they brought the convicts in for, was to mine the coal from the area, which we don't have any mines on this side of the park, but on the other side of the park, there is it's called the Old Prison Mine Trail, and you can actually walk to and see some of the old prison mines that were there where they would mine the coal from, and they would send it on up to Harriman, out that way. And you can actually see where the old railroad cut was, up from the observation tower up on Frozen Head Peak. So.
Wow! And then of course, if you're really into fitness, if you really like to hurt your body, you can do the Barkley Marathon, right?
Well, it's not just for anybody. With fitness level, that's one thing, but there is a secret way of getting admitted to it. They only, for the main Barkley Marathon, they only accept anywhere from 30 to 40 people, and I don't even know the process for getting admitted to it or what it is to
Is
get
that
into
in the
it.
spring or in the fall? When do they hold that?
That's in the first part of the spring. It's usually around the 1st of April or so. But there is another one that's a little bit more accessible. It's called the Barkley Fall Classic, and it's coming up here in September, but it's usually held in the about first to mid part of September. And that one is about 300 to 400 runners.
Right.
And it's a little bit more lenient on who it is, but one of the biggest delineations is the main Barkley is about 120 or so miles, whereas the Fall Classic is only 32 miles or so.
Wow.
It's still a lot of miles.
That's a lot.
I wouldn't want to run it, but that's one of the biggest things, and it's a little bit easier to get into, but there is a big long wait list. But yeah, it's definitely, it'll hurt you if you do it.
How many acres is made up? Frozen Head, how many acres?
So the park itself, the state park and the natural areas are about 24,000 acres or so. And then we have an additional 7,000 to 10,000 acres, which adjoins our land. On the other side, it's called a recreational easement land. And that's mostly managed just by TDEC. But since it is close to us, we do go ahead and do the main patrolling of it and things like that. But it's just regulated hunting and things like that. And TWRA helps us out with that as well.
Is there hunting on this property?
Not anywhere on the park, but over on the recreational easement land during hunting seasons. When it is appropriate, there is hunting over there.
Okay. Is horseback riding or not?
No, there's no horseback riding here anymore. There used to be, but it was changed when there was a certain disease. I don't remember the name of it. You had to bring papers to show that your horses were vaccinated, and it was just becoming a hassle, and we didn't have the road for it down there. There's really nowhere to park and turn around, so they just went ahead and...
So you have all this acreage. What would be your favorite spot? If you could just sit and just kind of take in being at Frozen Head, where would that be? Where would you sit down and want to be?
So there's two.
Okay.
There's a well-known spot and then one that I kind of like to think not many people know about. And the first one would be the observation tower at the top of Frozen Head. It's about a 7-mile round trip if you take a certain loop. And it's just from there you've got almost a 360-degree view of all around you, but you've got one good window of about 180 degrees of just, you can see all the Petros, you can see the edge of Knoxville. On a clear enough day you can see all the way over to the Smokies.
That's amazing.
But then my favorite spot, other than that, would be the North Olmec campsite.
Okay.
So it's on one of our trails, and there's a big rock boulder, not much different from these, but this big one that juts out of the side of the hill. And there were some trees that fell just from a storm, and it makes this perfect little natural window frame. And you can see all the way back down the valley, and it just kind of, you can just sit there and the birds come out, which this is an important birding area. So it's a big place for people to come out and do a lot of birding and things like that. And there's actually bird count spots along the trail. But this is a big birding area. I mean, especially if you go up to that spot that I was just talking about, if you sit still for about 5 or 10 minutes, they come alive no matter what time of the year. So.
Yep. All right. So if people wanted to get to Frozen Head, explain to them physically how do you get there? What's the location?
So we are in Wartburg, Tennessee, which is in Morgan County. Our actual address is 964 Flat Fork Road, Wartburg, Tennessee, which that's just off of 62. And depending on which way you come in, if you're coming from Oak Ridge, you'll go all the way down to Oliver Springs and then stay on 62. And then coming from the other direction, you come through Sunbright and all. From that direction, you come in that way, and then you just look for the Flat Fork Road and look for the signs. And we have signs all along the interstate that say Frozen Head and where to turn. There's several different ways that you can get here, but that'd be the main way to get here.
And a website, if they wanted to go check it out on the website?
That's right. The exact address, it's a bunch of slashes and things like that. The best way to do it is just go to TenStateParks.com, and then you can navigate and search for Frozen Head, and then that would be our official page right there. We also have a Facebook page that you can check out. Just go ahead and search it on Facebook. And we also have an Instagram account, and you can just search for us on there.
So people all the time, do rangers go out there and do like selfies? Like, do they get out there and go like?
No, we don't really do the selfies. We don't like to highlight ourselves. We like to highlight the beauty of the park itself. And
let's do a selfie. Then. Here we go. We're gonna do one, and then we'll post it so people can see. Whoa, that's the wrong person. You have her going. There we go.
There it is.
We'll try and get the rock. There it is. So if you want to come, have a great time, be in the outdoors, enjoy what they have here at Frozen Head, check them out on their website or go check them out on Facebook. Good stuff. Thank you.
Look forward to having you.